Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Judy Devine, and I'm the Sadlier Religion Webinar Coordinator and the moderator for this afternoon's product presentation with Kathy Hendricks. Kathy Hendricks is the National Consultant for William H. Sadlier and a contributing writer for our material, including the We Believe program and the blog, and We Believe and Share blog. Kathy has over 25 years of experience in Catholic schools, parishes, and dioceses. And now I present to you Kathy. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Judy. It's nice to be with everybody. Hope you're all doing well. And as Judy says, I'm the National Catechetical Consultant for Sadlier, but before doing that, my background includes work as the Director of Religious Education for the Diocese of Colorado Springs, and I'm sure you all know how much of a presence the military bases have in Colorado Springs. So I have done some work with different military groups, including talks overseas at several military installations. So I really do appreciate the need that you all have and recognize for programs that are very solid in content, as well as those that are going to engage the students and support catechists in parishes because, and the chapels, I mean, because you understand how mobile life is in the military community. So as we move through this is what I'm going to be focusing on. Let's see, oh, there we go, sorry. Today, in our time together, I'm going to be looking at our We Believe Catholic Identity Edition program for K through 6. You may be familiar with the program, but I'm going to especially focus on the new components in our new Catholic Identity Edition. And I'll also look at the digital resources that support We Believe. And then in addition, I would like to give you a little overview of our brand new sacramental program, Believe, Celebrate, Live, which we are very excited about. It's our program for sacramental preparation for First Eucharist, First Reconciliation, and for dioceses doing confirmation or restored order, we have a confirmation book. And then at one point, Judy's going to jump back into the conversation to explain some of the work she's done on the correlation of our materials with the standards for the military. So I'll turn it back over to her when we get to that point. So let's first start with We Believe. Like I said, some of you may be familiar with We Believe. I just want to kind of reinforce where its, its foundations, how it is, age appropriate, of course, comprehensive presentation of the Catholic faith, with a strong emphasis on liturgical lessons through the seasons of the year, and incorporating the lives of the saints into all of the student books. I'm going to talk a little bit later about how it integrates the 6 tasks of catechesis as they are named in the General Directory for catechesis. And we at Sadlier are very proud of our, we're a family company. We've been owned by the same family for over 180 years. So we're very proud of all our family resources. So I'll give you a little glimpse into some of those. And as I said earlier, we'll be looking at the digital resources that you can access to enrich lessons in the class, but also share with families. And then one of the most popular features of our We Believe program has been our leader guides, which people tell us that they love so much because they're so easy to use, but also contain so much vital information. We Believe is a spiral-based program. It spirals around and based around the 4 pillars of the Catechism of the Catholic Church, as you can see in this graphic. And so it's very much grounded in the Catechism. It spirals from these 4 pillars and it keeps revisiting key concepts for children in age-appropriate ways in order to help them deepen their understanding of the Catholic faith. It is based on a very solid scope and sequence, and we not only want to teach the doctrines of the faith, faith and practice, but also promote very active discipleship among children and young people at a level that they can understand. So I'm going to be looking at these three primary components. We do have some ancillary materials, but today I'll focus on these, our student books, which we'll start with. And then what's new to We Believe Catholic Identity is the inclusion of 4 retreats. And instead of putting those guidelines or guides for the retreat into the Catechist Guide, we published a new Leader's Guide for every grade level. So we'll look a little bit at what those retreats entail, and then we'll take a look at how the Catechist Guide is put together. And then I'm going to log in online to our websites at Sadlier Connect that show how they support the material. So first of all, the student book, this basic outline, if you're familiar with We Believe, you know that it has each chapter, each book, each grade level consists of 4 units, and in every unit there are 5 what we call core chapters per unit, and then there are 2 seasonal chapters in units 1 through 3, and then in unit 4 there's 1 seasonal chapter. And I love this component of the program because that means from kindergarten up through 6th grade, Advent is covered in Unit 1. And so it can be on that same page, if you will, whenever they choose to teach that seasonal chapter. And then these next 3 bullet points are new components to our We Believe Catholic Identity. We have included 4 retreats, 1 in each unit of each grade level. We've added at the back of the book some Q&As, and I'll explain in a little bit what those are, questions and answers, as well as what we call a Catholic Identity Home Companion. Some beautifully designed pages for primarily for families, but I think they're a tremendous resource for catechists as well. Here's just a look at the table of contents, just at a glance. It's not a very, it's kind of hard to read this really up closely, but the reason I put this slide up is I really love that it kind of shows at a glance, and I always encourage catechists when I'm speaking to them to go to their table of contents in their student books and just kind of read through the entire table of contents when they're getting started, because you start to see the scope of the whole year. And so you see under each chapter there's the title of the chapter, and then there's 4 faith statements, and those are all in blue print there. And then underneath that you see the scripture that is included, what the theme of the As Catholic section is, which I'll explain in a little bit, what Project Disciple activities are included, and a take-home activity. And then you see at the bottom of the page those listings for the seasonal chapter. So we have Advent, Christmas, Lent, and the 3 days there listed. And then you'll see that little Catholic Identity icon in the second column right above the picture of the little boy with the priest's hand over his head. There is the name of the retreat. So the retreats are also listed. So this gives you kind of a scope of where the program takes us. Again, if you're familiar with We Believe, we have retained this process in We Believe Catholic Identity. It's a 3-step process. We gather, we believe, we respond, which is very, very easy for catechists to follow. The gathering part is a prayer service, oftentimes with some kind of an opening question or conversation. We Believe is the section of the chapter that will cover the faith content with those 4 faith statements. And then We Respond offers ways for students to apply learning into their lives. And so here again we see the 4 faith statements up at the top there, in the blue. And so it gives us, the catechist, at a glance, here's what I'm going to be covering here. And so just to focus in, again, when I speak to catechists about really getting focused on what their lesson is about, is to go back to those 4 faith statements and make sure they're anchored in those. And then what we've included, we're building a vocabulary of Catholic faith with the children, and so all of their key words are written in red print, and then you'll see here a little the reference to a page number. That's the page number that these appear in a glossary in the back of the book. So we're building a Catholic vocabulary within the chapter through these highlighted key words, and then we're also folding those into some of the questions and answers as a way to keep building on those concepts in a variety of ways. This next page shows a section we call As Catholics. It's a piece related to the lesson, and here you see in this this chapter, I think this is I'm not sure what grade level. Oh, I think this is grade 3, but it's a chapter on the early church, and so the As Catholic section takes a little piece out of that. For this As Catholic section, as you can see, is on evangelization, and so we pull something out of that to kind of focus in on a particular aspect of Catholic belief and practice. And then a Respond piece invites children to apply the lessons to their lives, making something, discipleship, something active as well as age appropriate. Now, I spoke earlier a little bit about how grounded we believe is in the 6 tasks of catechesis as they're named in the General Directory for catechesis, and these are knowledge of the faith, liturgical formation, moral formation, learning to pray, life of the community, and missionary initiative. And we want to make catechetics a holistic process, and so we believe is very much grounded in that. And so our project disciple pages take those 6 tasks, which have been folded into all of this content throughout the program, and we created activities around those 6 tasks. So some are going to focus on liturgical formation, for example. Some are going to focus on prayer, and they'll vary according to these little titles: show what you know, fast facts. We have these throughout through the books to help promote an application of faith to the children's lives. And then every chapter has a little take-home piece the child takes home to share with their family, and then at the beginning of the next chapter, when they come back, the catechist asks them to share what they've done. So this is just one of the components that we use to kind of draw the family into the process of catechesis. So I'm going to turn this back over to Judy for a minute to just talk a little bit. I thought this was kind of a good place for her to explain the correlation work that she's done to the military catechetical standards. So Judy, do you want to step back in?
Yes, thank you, Kathy. Well, Jose had sent me all of your standards and sent me the key elements, and I redid the correlation completely. And it is a K-8 correlation, which includes We Believe Catholic Identity. It also includes the 7th and 8th grade, which is We Live Our Faith. And it also includes the bilingual edition of the program, Creemos. And in 7th and 8th grade, Vivimos Nuestra Fe. And I apologize, I forgot the S in Nuestra there. Vivimos Nuestra Fe. So that correlation has been completed. And what we're working on doing now is we're putting the cover, and then there's going to be information that Kathy will be talking about today, and that will be the first page of each grade level's correlation, talking about where you can find specific things on the website, etc., so that you can familiarize yourself with the other assets that are available to you. And what you'll notice on the correlation, we have the term community of faith, because I know that is what you refer to when you're talking to versus parish or school. And so that is very much a part of the correlation also. It will come to Jose in a digital format, and then he can disseminate it to everybody who needs a copy of it. It's a PDF form, so you will be able to print out your grade level for for your use. And then also the date that we are targeting to send the completed document, because it had to be reformatted, etc., is it should be to Jose by October 5th at the latest. And then any of you, as you get the correlation or you're doing anything with the program, you're looking or reviewing anything, my address is very simple. It's jdevine@sadlier.com. And don't hesitate to contact me about anything. And I am sure, as I see here, Jose just sent me a note saying it will be posted to the AMS website. So that will be available to you. And our goal is to get it to him by October 5th. So any questions, feel free to type them in the question box, or I will answer them. Once you get the correlation, if you have any questions, please email me. I'll happily answer them if you can't find something. All right? Thank you. Kathy, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. Thanks, Judy. And thanks for reminding me. If questions do come up, do put them in the question box, and Judy's kind of monitoring those. So, anything that I'm talking about, be sure to put it in a question for me. So I'm going to move now to the retreats and look at what those entail. The Catholic Identity retreats, as I said earlier, we have incorporated 4 retreats in each grade level.
Kathy, pardon me. Can you do me a favor and just click back to you as presenter? My screen faded again.
Oh, did it? Okay.
If you don't mind.
All right. Change presenter.
I got.
Oh, here we are. Is that good? Show my.
Not yet. No. Go ahead. You continue on.
Okay. So you're not seeing my screen?
Not at the moment, but go ahead. You continue.
Okay. We have incorporated 4 retreats into each grade level. And a retreat, now this can sound really daunting, but a retreat is, of course, supposed to be spiritual. So what we've done in these retreats is we're not introducing new material, but we're taking material that the children already have learned, and we're pulling out some kind of some major part of that unit and incorporating that into the retreat. And the retreats are key to the 4 pillars of the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So in Unit 1, for each grade level, the retreat will be based on that pillar of creed. Unit 2 then will be on liturgy and the sacraments and so forth. And now again, it can sound rather daunting to think of a retreat, but they're essentially designed to last 45 minutes to an hour. So a catechist could substitute a class instead of doing, say, maybe one of the seasonal chapters or one of the lessons. They could decide to do one of the retreats. And as I said earlier, it draws upon material the students have already learned, because our focus is to deepen spirituality. Judy, any luck with the screen? Are you seeing anything?
Yes, I'm back up and fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay, that's good, because I'd like to show you. All right. So each part of each retreat is based, has this same kind of flow to it. The idea behind them, of course, is to deepen Catholic identity through this prayer and spirituality process. As I said, you can use it as a single class period, or we have put digital extensions online if you would like to do the retreat, maybe extend it to half day. And those extenders include some more interactive components, you know, things that are going to take a longer time, such as creating something, you know, but they're very creative, so I'm really excited about them. This is a sample of a retreat from the 5th grade. As you can see, the theme, it's from Unit 3, so it's on morality, and the theme is human dignity. And so the first part of the retreat is called Open My Heart, and it's really kind of a way to draw the young people into the retreat, and you can see here it's this little illustration talking about human dignity. The children are invited to look at the picture and then describe what it says to them about human dignity.
Kath, do you have that up on your screen?
Yes. Can you see it?
All I see is the retreat guide.
Oh. No, it should say morality.
No, it's just your slide on the Catholic retreat guide.
Huh. I don't know why that would be. Let me see. I'm still listed as presenter, Judy, so I'm not sure. How's that? Is that showing? Is that showing up?
Yes, it's showing up.
Okay. There we go. I think my screen was paused. All right. So you can see the picture with the hands?
We have deepening morality using as a one-class period?
Yes. And
good.
There's a little illustration with all those little hands forming
yes.
a tree. Okay, good.
That's
okay.
Behind my question screen, yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so moving on then from there, we go to the next part is part 2 is coming together for prayer. So there's a prayer service. And then the third part of the retreats, this is very exciting to me because I did my spiritual direction training in Benedictine spirituality, and what we've done with this is we've incorporated Lectio Divina into all of the retreats. So part 3 is a simplified Lectio Divina process for children. And we've taken those 4 parts of Lectio, as you can see at the bottom there: read, reflect, share, and contemplate, those words in the blue print there, which draws the child more deeply into the Word of God and invites them to reflect on it. And then part 4 is where they would kind of reflect more deeply on it. You can see here this labyrinth talking about human dignity, and you know what sort of words they would use to describe human dignity. Then we move into this phase of the retreat where we really want to incorporate a sense of discipleship into what we're doing. So the 5th part of the retreat is called I Celebrate My Catholic Identity, and this is where they might work in a small group on something. In this case, the children are going to work together to complete a contract to promote justice and respect human dignity. And then you see at the very bottom it says share this with your family at home. So we're trying to, of course, draw that back into the family. And then the 6th part, the retreat ends then, I honor my Catholic identity. It ends with prayer, and we've tried as much as possible to draw prayers from the Catholic tradition into into these retreats. So all of this is, while it's it's certainly a spiritual exercise and component, it's also strengthening Catholic identity through these forms of prayer and reflection. So I mentioned earlier that we don't have, the guide for this is a separate guide for every grade level. And so in each guide, the teachers, the catechists are given ideas for just doing the retreat as it is, ways to kind of enhance or add different components to it depending on their time and creativity. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful part of our new program that we're very excited about, because we really do want to strengthen spirituality among our children. And then the last part of the retreat is a tear-out page that the children bring home. So they bring that some of the components from the retreat home. You can see here there's a little retreat recap for the family so the parents know what the children did during the retreat. There's that human dignity contract, so what the child did in the class, perhaps the family could do together as a family. We have some kind of a little spiritual practice or prayer that's included in that. And then you see at the very bottom it says, for more resources, see the Catholic Identity Home Companion, and I'll show you that in a minute. But we continue to want to resource parents and provide them with good resources. The back of this page is a page called Why We Believe as a Catholic Family. So there's a section called What If Someone Asks Us? And these are some just questions with some little answers that they can derive from Scripture and the Church, what the Church has to say about some of these particular questions. So it's a little bit of, I would call it gentle apologetics in terms of resourcing parents on Catholic belief and practice. Somebody called this subtle adult education. I like that term a lot. But anyways we can support families is of course vital. Here's a look at the Catholic Q&A at the end of the book. It's 6 pages of questions and answers. The questions are based on what is being taught in the student text with answers that are very clear and age appropriate. And then in the blueprint you see there the references to the sections of the catechism where the parents could go to find more, the catechist could go to find more information. And then here's a look at that Catholic Identity Home Companion. These are the pages that I mentioned earlier. This is designed for the family, but I think there's so much content back here that catechists could draw upon as well. These are 4 pages based again on the 4 Catechism of the Catholic Church. So the one page focuses on the Creed, the next on Liturgy and the Sacraments and so forth. And so they'll include a lot more Catholic prayers, practices, and devotions. I think in one of our books we explain what a novena is, for example. You see on that, you can kind of see there on the morality page, it says living with dignity, where we're taking a theme of Catholic social teaching and drawing that out. So this is a wonderful resource that one of my other roles at Sadlier is as writer. And I draw upon these sections all the time in these books because I think they're so beautiful. And then also included in this back section is something new for the parent called Spirituality in Your 5th Grade Child, your 5th grade, 4th grade, whatever the grade level is. In the Catechist Guide, we have done some work around the developmental stages of the child at particular ages. And so what we did with this was we put this in language that's very family friendly. So it's things that parents could really look for in their child, what a child has a capacity for at this time in their life, and how parents can try to support, encourage, and affirm that in their children. So those are some new components from We Believe. That's looking at the student book. I just want to take a real quick look at our Catechist Guide. Again, if you're familiar with We Believe, you know how wonderfully put together these guides are. The beginning of the guide, I always say to teachers and catechists, I know it's tempting to just skip over the first part of the guide and go right to the chapters, but there's so much material in the front of the guide. There's a scope and sequence so the catechist knows where the program is going over the course of the year. There's all these resources we call front matter that I'll show you in a little bit. Of course, good chapter lesson planning. And then we include a lot of different activities for catechists that want to, shore up their lesson or maybe substitute something in a lesson with something else according to the learning capabilities of the children in their class. And then we have reproducible masters. So here's just a little glimpse at some of the material in that front matter that are resources for the catechists. Here we have that page on the 6 tasks of catechesis, and how that applies then grade level. So you see here the 6 tasks of catechesis, how that applies to grade 2. And then we have a profile of a 2nd grade disciple, a little bit like that spirituality piece for the parents, but this is written for the catechist, something to keep them tuned in to the capabilities of children at that particular age. And then every...
Kathy?
Yes.
Well, I think of it too, because the resources that you're showing right now, some of them may not be familiar with the program at all, so these are really important to them.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about them, Judy? Or?
No, just that Jose was saying that some attending may not be familiar with the original We Believe, and so these are so critical, like the 6 tasks and how we show
Right.
at the grade level.
Okay.
Like that page there, because it says, you know, again, it's behind what I'm looking at, but the 6 tasks, when they're related at each grade level, is particular to the grade level.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. And that shows how I can take the 6 task and do it at that particular grade level.
Right.
So that really is key for the students, I think. And then I think, what was the next one you put up there? Because it was one of my favorites. Go to your next one. Yeah.
Oh, the profile.
Yes, all about the child at that grade level. That has been something teachers love, catechists love. So that's just so anyway.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for yes, because I have a tendency to think, oh, everybody knows about this.
I know, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
I think I wrote some of this, so I'm pretty, you know.
You did.
Well, and I do think that's good, you know, and when you look at the 6 tasks, we have the tasks of catechesis, and then, you know, what disciples do, and we took those 6 tasks and put them into verbs. You know, disciples learn, disciples celebrate, disciples choose, they pray, they share, and they live. And that's how that little circle up there at the top of that 6 tasks page shows those 6 verbs that are really show how discipleship is lived out. And then how, as Judy said, how a 2nd grader then does that. What does a 2nd grader not only learn but can choose to do? What are their capabilities at that age? What sort of prayers are they going to be drawn to? And then we draw that out again in the profile of a 2nd grade disciple. And then this other page, Go Green, a lot of people don't even know that's in the front of the book, but if a catechist is looking for a project to do perhaps over the course of a year or even during Lent, we have different environmental projects. There are different ones for every grade level, which is focuses on a different part of this Catholic social teaching theme of care of God's creation. And of course, with the encyclical that Pope Francis just wrote about the environment, we know that this isn't just a cause, but this is something that's very intrinsic to our faith. And children are particularly empowered by environmental issues. So you see there's, you know, there's a little focus piece there, some way that they can take action. We describe a little project that the class might do together. And then we end it with, you know, this reflect and pray, which I really see as theological reflection, like what does this have to do with my faith? And so that's just some of the materials that are in the first part of this, this guide. Then for each chapter we have an overview and lesson planning guide. So on the very first pages of the chapter in the guide, the catechist gets an overview. There's a very succinct statement. I'm sorry this slide is so fuzzy because it's not very easy to read, but you can kind of see that word overview there, and it's a little synopsis of what the chapter is going to be. And then in the box underneath it, you can just make out four bullets. Once again, 4 faith statements. There's the core of the chapter. So we're always going back to that, drawing attention to that. And I really emphasize that with catechists because I remember my first years of teaching and how I sometimes was teaching lessons, didn't have a clue where I was going. And so these are little anchor points to make sure that the catechist understands what the lesson is and what it's going to be covering. And then right to the right of that, you see the key words in red print there. So the catechist sees what those key words are. And then there's some background on the lower half of the page, a little reflection around what the material is going to be. Because again, if we as teachers and catechists don't take this into our own hearts, we're not going to be effective in sharing that with children. And then the next page has this kind of at-a-glance lesson planning guide, breaking down those three, the process: we gather, we believe, we respond. And just looking at that visually, you can kind of see how within, say, an hour's time, how you're going to divide that up, that the we gather piece is going to be much shorter than we believe and we respond. We believe is going to take up the most time, and then enough time needs to be allowed for that response piece. And so there's the steps in the first column. There's a short descriptor of the presentation that will be done in the second column, and then in the third column it lists all the materials that will be needed for that class lesson. Then when you turn the page, you'll see that there are these wonderful enrichment ideas. There's a chapter story. It's always optional. I know that I loved when I taught second grade, second, third, and fourth grades, and they loved hearing stories read aloud. So I know I would have really made use of the chapter stories, but that's just an option. There's also a faith in media section there that shows, gives some ideas for drawing media into a class. There's a little chapter project idea at the bottom of the page, again an option, but some way to engage the children. And then the following page has some more activity ideas. What's the Word is a scripture-based activity, and you see, and these are going to vary from chapter to chapter. They're taking actually those same headings that we used in the project disciple pages from the student book and link them into additional activities. So these all have something to do with those 6 tasks of catechesis. Celebrate, for example, is tied into liturgy. So we're constantly looking at ways to keep incorporating the 6 tasks into the lesson. And then down at the bottom of that second page, you see meeting individual needs, children with attention deficit disorder. We're seeing children with a lot of different special needs, so we can continue to work with how those, how do we work with those? We know our catechists aren't professionally trained teachers, so we're trying to provide as many resources as we can. And then we have some additional resource ideas listed at the bottom of the page there. All right. My slides are moving slowly here. We also have reproducible masters. Sharing faith with my family is something that could be sent home with the children, as well as this What's the Word, which is I believe this is already this is also online. I'd have to really check on that. And then this other reproducible master. So it's some different. All of this is just some different activities, certainly for the children, and then again resourcing for the families. Here's a look at the lesson planning pages. We do a wraparound lesson planning guide. It's very easy to read, so you have the student page there. The lesson plans on those little recipe cards at the bottom of the page, which walks the catechist through the lesson. And then along the side you see different ideas for activities and resources, different ways to teach the lesson. So I'm going to move from the Catechist Guide now and take us into the website to look at sadlierconnect.com. So I'm going to actually leave the leave my PowerPoint here. And when you go into you have to type in, here's the up here, religion.sadlierconnect.com. If you just do sadlierconnect.com, you're going to get to our academic page, which is fine if you're interested in math. But putting religion and then a period will get you to Sadlier Connect. And this is our opening page, and what you'll see is a login. We're not going to really worry about logging in. If you go down and to the bottom of the screen and to the purple box here, you don't need any login information to just access our religion resources, and that'll take you to this page. And I'm going to just scroll down. You'll see all sorts of different lozenges here that'll take you to different resources, but I'm going to click in here to We Believe Catholic Identity. And that will take us into this page, which has a whole bunch of little buttons here. And we're going to go into grade 4. So as grade 4 teacher, you go in here and you'll see I collapsed this, but let's see if I can uncollapse. Oh, there we go. So if you go into Unit 1, for example, you're going to see all of the materials that are there. I'm going to stick with the overview here. So you get the program overview. There's a little video here, overview of the entire We Believe program. Here is a scope and sequence for the program. This will show you the correlations to We Believe, some family resources, whether summer schools of interest, and then catechist resources. Then as you go into the units, you'll see that each unit, again, here's your all of the chapters in Unit 1, and if you click that on, it will bring you to the background that's actually in the Catechist Guide. So this is something that's really kind of nice if you want to just access this. Here's that page I was showing you, much clearer, that was in the guide, but this is actually online. So you'll see, this is nice because then the teacher has access to this in their computer, their iPad or whatever, to go online. Here's the succinct faith synopsis of the chapter, the 4 faith statements, and correlations to the catechism, the keywords, the chapter background, and some correlations. So go back. I'm going to collapse that. Here's some lesson planning guides. So if you go in here, wait for that to come up. Here's that second page, and it shows a lesson planning guide, again with the steps along here, the presentation, and all the materials that you need. And these little icons show this is an activity. A book is a reference to scripture, the little cross for prayer. So it's very easy to read. All right, and collapse that. There's study guides for each of the chapters. So these are some questions that the catechist could use or to help reinforce the content of the chapter. All right. And since this is available to the children as well, they could be taking these little online tests as well. There's printable activities here for each grade level. You see they vary, word puzzles, stories, so we try to make it very interesting. Games for each chapter, multiple choice, word search. Wonderful resources for the children to work on at home with their parents. Here's some of the reproducible masters. Prayers. One thing I forgot to mention, at the back of the student books, there's an extensive section on prayers and practices in the Catholic Church. So, but these are all provided online as well. We really want to reinforce the prayers. I'm trying to think if this is, you can listen to those, yeah, so you can listen to them actually as well. So there's a little sound icon there. Here's some family resources. The Dear Family page from the student books, and sharing faith with my family. That the page that I talked to you earlier about that could be reproduced, but parents, you could just send a link actually to parents to go in and see the, each page that goes with their that chapter for the child. Okay, so those are, it's just a wonderful wealth of resources for each of the grade levels in We Believe. I'm going to go back now, actually I'm going to go back up to the bookshelf here, and this will get me back to this page. And you see there's, in addition to all the We Believe resources, we have catechist development pages. So you can see there's a whole huge archive of material on all sorts of topics. Children with special needs. And these are written for the catechist, so we have different articles that we've collected over the years, and then ideas for implementing them in the class. So this is especially good for, I think, for catechetical leaders to know that there's a resource like this. This is one of our most popular pages, is the Lives of the Saints. The saints are included, and as I said earlier, they're folded into, their lives are folded into all of our books. But we also have extensive bios for each of the saints as well as activities. And so I collapse those, but you can see that they're done by the feasts. I'm going to go down to October, since we're into October, and you see we'll just pull up one of my favorite saints, Teresa of Avila, and you see here what she said, what the world was like. So there's a little context for Teresa's life, in the 1500s, and then this biographical sketch of her that's much longer than we can put in the books. And then what does this mean to us today? And then there's links to activities for primary ages and intermediate. So it's a fabulous resource. This week's liturgy is a wonderful resource to send to families. I know that when I'm out on the road, I hear so many people lament the fact that families aren't going to Mass. So encouraging families to, to read the readings over before they come to church, and then you see there's some discussion questions, ideas for families to do together. The readings, and these links will take you to the USCCB site, which will give you those actual readings. So they don't have to go, I mean, they could look them up in their own Bible, but if they want to just link onto them. So those are those wonderful questions. And then there's ideas for proclaiming faith for primary grades. All right. So wonderful, wonderful resources. All right. So those are that's just a little glimpse at what Sadlier Connect has for us. I also want to look at another web page of Sadlier's is Sadlier Religion. Oops, I'll go back to that. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go, let me see. I think I just have it up here. So Sadlier Religion is, the website is www.sadlierreligion.com, and this is just a gorgeous, gorgeous site. This site is also free. You don't need to log in or anything, but when you go, you see you can scroll across here, and these pull-down, drop-down menus will show you what's here. But I'm going to go first to the parish programs and go down to We Believe Catholic Identity to show you what's in here. We had all those other resources for Catholic Identity in We Believe Catholic Identity in Sadlier Connect, but this site is more for catechists and catechetical leaders and parents. So one of the things I wanted to point out to you were some of these beautiful resources, very helpful resources. There are assessments. This is a link to our assessment guide. book. Judy probably knows more about the assessments than I do, the scope and sequence. But this is something that's I especially wanted to show you. This is our Diverse Learners Guide. And what it does is correlate in all of the grade levels where you find help with children with special needs, different types of learning styles. All right, and you see in the you know, how these are picked up in the different grade levels. Grade kindergarten, you see children using a wheelchair, chapter 23. So it's all kind of linked together and correlated. This was a huge amount of work, but it was well worth it because we need to serve children with special needs much better than we've been doing, certainly. And then here shows you the correlations from We Believe Catholic Identity. Judy talked about the correlation to the military standards, but we've also correlated to the bishop's document on evangelization in the United States. We've correlated to the program to the 4 pillars of the Catechism, to the Year of Mercy, and to the 6 tasks of catechesis. We're doing a webinar today. We have a whole link to our webinars that we've archived. So those are some of them, as well as here's some upcoming ones. This one's coming up next week, I believe, isn't it, Judy?
Yes, it is on the new app. That's coming up next week. That's with Scott Cash.
Yes, okay. I'm going to scroll over to our resources here. Actually, I'm going to go back up here to the home page. If you scroll down, you'll see there's a link here into 3 primary sections of Sadlier religion. First is Catechist Cafe, and these are resources for the catechists, obviously, to help assist them in their ministry with the students, but also with parents and families. There's a page for the families, lots of prayer resource ideas for the families, and then for those of you who are in leadership positions, there's resources and articles for the catechetical leaders. So I'm going to go into Catechist Cafe and just show you what's here. Now, there's a ton of resources down here in Spanish and in English. And when I first looked at this, I thought, oh my heavens, trying to figure all this out. There's so many prayers and everything. Well, here is if you go up here, my mouse stopped working here. Oops, sorry. There's a filter. So you can go into this filter and drop down, and if you just want something on the saints, I just want to filter out all the activities, e-books, everything down the saints, will filter out the material. So you begin to see the material that's available there. Okay. We'll look in the Family Center. All sorts of ideas again, activities, and again there's a filter there. So if your parents are looking maybe for prayers, they can go down, and we've got a whole lot of prayers for the different seasons of the years, the liturgical seasons. So this is a marvelous resource for your families. And then the Leadership Library has all sorts of articles for those of you who are working in a leadership capacity. So be sure to log on, and then you see here there's a link to our webinars, and then I also want to show you our blogs. The We Believe blog, if you sign up, if you think, well, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get around to going through all this stuff, you really want to sign up for We Believe blog. This is put together by Allie Johnston, one of our wonderful writers for us, and she puts together a blog each week. So you can see here what she's done is she's kind of compiled things around different things that are coming up. So she's gone through all our resources and put together let's just look at St. Francis of Assisi and what she put here. All right, so she's got a little biography of him, the page from, and a download on activity for Francis of Assisi. So if you sign up for the We Believe blog, you'll get a notice every week about what's in the blog, and then all sorts of resources are kind of filtered out for you. I write a blog every week called We Believe and Share, the nice thing is that these have been going on for so long. We've got so many of them archived that you can do this drop-down menu, and if you're looking now for something for Advent, that will filter out all the blogs for Advent. Yes? Oh, it's still scrolling. And you can go down and see we've got something if you want something on the O antiphons, prayers, Advent prayers for families. All right. And then we have a lot of the, here's these are all downloadable. They're all free. So you can download them for your classes or you can download them for your families. And we have them in both, our design department puts these together, and they're in both color and in black and white. If I were teaching, I think what I'd probably do is run, especially for parents, is just send them a link through social media. And then we also have a Spanish blog, and these are not translated. These are articles that are written in original Spanish, and they too include prayers and downloadables, and themes are listed here as well. So that's just a little look at our resources, online resources. I'm going to go back up to my PowerPoint. While I'm doing that, I'm going to transition over to our sacrament program, but I just want to see, before I do that, if there's any questions, Judy, that we've had about...
Jose typed a couple, but I've been answering him, and he's just saying all this material is great. And one of the things, too, on the We Believe blog with Allie that Kathy showed you, be on the lookout for the Advent calendar because that gets posted there. So we always do that weekly. There'll be an Advent calendar that you can use with all of the children in your catechetical programs.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay. You ready to go on to the...
Yes, you can go right on.
Okay. All right, so the next thing I want to look at is our sacramental program. We Believe, Celebrate, Live. This is a brand new program of sacramental preparation for First Eucharist and First Reconciliation, as well as Restored Order. Here's some of the key elements of it and what it's based on. It's very much based and flows from a vision of the rite of Christian initiation of adults, which is rooted in liturgical catechesis. It embraces Catholic identity, rites, rituals, and prayer forms that will help prepare young children for their first reception of the sacraments, as well as to a lifetime of conversion to Christ. So it very much is a companion, of course, to our We Believe materials. It includes a three-step process as well that I'm going to show you in just a minute to help children understand how they live and what they're going to experience and are experiencing through the sacraments. And then we've incorporated not only Lectio Divina into this program, but also Visio Divina, which is so exciting. I'll be showing you some of that in just a minute. And then what it does is it really kind of promotes a sacramental view of life, which is such an important part of Catholic tradition. It really helps to open the eyes of faith by engaging the religious imagination of children and their families. And so the components include the children's book. You can see we have children's book for ages 7 through 8, and we also have intermediate books because we know a lot of children come to the sacraments later on, and so those books are a little bit different than the primary, of course. We have catechist guides for Eucharist, Reconciliation, Confirmation, both for the primary and intermediates. And then there's DVDs that include videos, there's a music CD, and very exciting feature of it is a mobile app, which I'm going to show to you in just a minute. Lots of wonderful resources for the family. An e-book, Director's Resource Guide, which is over 200 pages. And then we redesigned our prayer books for reconciliation and prayers, and the Mass book, which are just beautiful components. So the three-step process includes, it's a little bit different than we believe. We call it Believe, Celebrate, Live. But it follows kind of that nice process where we start with an opening of our hearts to God's love and listening to the Word of the Lord through Lectio Divina, and also experiencing it through Visio Divina. Then we move into an understanding of church teachings and practice in the Celebrate step of the process that draws us into this deeper relationship with Jesus Christ, and then take what we've learned out into the world, into our lives, into our families, and look at what this means. We become what we celebrate. And this Live section includes a beautiful prayer ritual. The DVD video is something that we use to start every chapter of the lessons for the children. It's really an engaging way, and the thing about these videos that I think is just adorable, somebody described them as Catholic Nickelodeon. They're just really, really cute. I'm going to play the video. I'm not sure that it might chop up a little bit on your screens. It just kind of depends on your internet connection, but let me just try to turn this on and you can see. I'm not sure if that showed up, but I hope it gives you a little bit of an idea. They're very clever, very cute, very engaging. And then in the student books, the children open their hearts. They think about things like in this chapter, what they do with their family and how they celebrate. And what's really wonderful is the children's pictures in here. She is in the video, so these kids walk them through the process. So you see the pictures of the children in the video also in the children's book, and sometimes they're in these little bubbles here kind of talking to the children. But I noticed in one, I was looking through one chapter, and one of the little guys is at Mass with his family. So you see them kind of living out their preparation for the sacraments as well. And then it moves into Lectio and Visio. So there's a little reading from Scripture, and the children are then invited to reflect on the reading and also to look at the picture. And here's a kind of a close-up of that picture. This is Peter right after Pentecost speaking to people, sharing the good news. And one of the beautiful things, Sadlier had engaged the work of several artists, I believe, in doing this, and really sat down with them to talk about what our vision was, so that they could really capture something in these pictures. I just think they're just gorgeous illustrations. We've used this one in a number of workshops that we've done around the country, and it's so fascinating to hear what people have to say about what this picture says to them about Peter sharing the good news after Pentecost. He's on fire with his faith. A lot of people point out this little baby down here is even listening. I love her face. All these different, some people have pointed out the pictures up here as looking like the Holy Spirit, flying right over them. So it's very evocative. It's very, very engaging. And then it moves from the Believe section to Celebrate, where we take then the faith content and break that open for the children and explain this component of their sacramental preparation. And you can see that there's key vocabulary that's highlighted here. So again, we're continuing to build a Catholic vocabulary as the children move through the preparation period. And then the pages that have to do with live are taking what they've learned in the chapter and incorporating that into their lives, talking about aspects of their faith. You know, here we're starting here in the Eucharist book with baptism, and so the children remember their baptism and what parish they belong to. And then we include something called discipleship in action, you know, role models or examples of what it means to live our faith in Jesus. And then we move from that into a prayer ritual. And I want to distinguish between prayer ritual and prayer service because the ritual incorporates liturgical catechesis. We teach through experiencing something liturgically. So the closing prayer will always include some kind of ritualistic action in words. In this prayer service, it's everyone comes up, if it's the children and their parents, they come up and bless themselves with the water. And so you can see here there's a reference to singing. We have a CD with music that was put together by Tom Kenzia, who's a very well-known musician who is well-known throughout the country and I think overseas. He was just over in Ireland, I think, doing some work. So he's put all of these together to make sure that the music really blends in beautifully with the ritual. And then after the prayer ritual, there's a short mystagogical reflection so that the prayer takes root in the heart. The music CD, I want to point out, also has some instrumental music. So it's possible to use some of that as kind of a reflective background. Say, I like to do that when I'm doing some kind of lectio with children, is maybe to have a little music in the background as they're listening to the words of the scripture. So it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous program. I just love the way it's been put together. The Catechist Guide, like our We Believe Catholic Identity Guide, is again very easy to follow. Here's a glimpse at some of the pages, that very easy to follow format. There you see on the left side the catechist background, the faith focus and background for the catechist, a personal reflection, question, and prayer, and then some resources from the catechism. And then there's a link here with We Believe Catholic Identity, so we've correlated it right in the chapter. And ideas for celebrating inclusion, tips for including children with disabilities, and you'll find that, you will see that in a little bit. And then here are the faith words that are part of the chapter. We've also included a read-along, read-aloud story. If a parish doesn't have access to you know, to show the DVD, or just not possible to show the video. Maybe parents are preparing children at home, they don't have the DVD. The story is an option to use instead of the video or in addition to the video. It's another optional piece to that. Here's, you know, some ideas for teaching the lesson, activities here, and then there's a piece on celebrating cultural diversity. We are a diverse church, so this here has a little piece on Latino churches and ways that they celebrate baptism. Here's kind of the guide, kind of a walkthrough of the prayer ritual. And then here's this piece I was talking about earlier, celebrating inclusion, strategies and tips for including children with disabilities. We contracted with someone very knowledgeable in this field who wrote all of these for us. Just a wonderful way to make sure that all children are included in that sacramental preparation. And then here's a little piece on living faith at home, which encourages family participation by having the children take the page home to do some Lectio Visio Divina with their families. And then there's a page called Growing in Faith Together, which just has a few discussion pieces, ideas for the family. I do want to say a little bit about the family components, because when we put this program together, before we put it together, we did a lot of research, not only with catechists, catechetical leaders, teachers, pastors, but we also spoke to parents about what they wanted. And one of the things that they said was they would rather go to their phones than their computers, so that's why we have an app with the program. They also didn't want a lot of bullet points in home lessons, which was really interesting. As a writer, I just found that really interesting. So that's really that was really key kind of in guiding us towards what we were doing. This program also comes in a bilingual version, so here's a look at one of our bilingual pages. And here's a page. I just wanted to show this. I don't know whether restored order is an issue within the military, but it is being done in several dioceses, including Honolulu, Denver, Portland, Maine. This is just another example of that Visio Divina art. I just thought it was so gorgeous. Jesus being baptized. Here's a look at the intermediate book. It looks different than the primary book. We didn't just take the primary book and slap a different title on it, but the children's look a little older in it. It's instead of in a landscape, it's just kind of a different formatting of it, and so the lessons are written in language that's more appropriate for older children, but it includes the components of Catholic identity, vocabulary of faith, and teaching the content, and it follows that same three-step process. We also include in the program director's guide a correlation between Believe, Celebrate, Live and our book, Our Catholic Identity, which is a catch-up catechesis book for children. So if you have children in your communities that do need, they're coming into sacramental preparation, they haven't any prior catechesis, that would be a wonderful resource for you to have, and then you know that you can find the correlation in the program director's guide. The mobile app, you can download this. If you have your phones, you could download it right now. Just go to the App Store, and all you have to do is download, do a search for Sadlier Sacraments, and it will come up. And when you go into the app, unfortunately, I'm not able to go live with it on my screen, so I'm just going to kind of walk us through verbally, unless you have already been able to download it on your app. But when you get to the home page of either sacrament, you'll see at the very top that you can toggle back and forth between the catechist and the parent. So on the catechist side, for each chapter, there's going to be a planner. So they don't. This is so wonderful. Their little planning piece, including children with disabilities, and the read aloud story. So those are all print materials that are on the app for the catechist. There's also a clip of the sound clip of the chapter background. So if the catechist is in the car, or just kind of walking around, wants to listen to it, that's great. We also have a little video clip for that chapter, so the catechist has that right on his or her phone, and a clip from the song that will be used in the ritual. And then on the parent side of the app, we have some of those same components are included for the parent. The video clip, the song clip, and the read aloud story are all on the parent side, as well as the chapter 1 background. But we also include home session plans for the parents. Some parishes and dioceses prefer that parents do the preparation at home. So we have when they click on that, they'll get a little PDF that will come up on their phone and guide them through the steps of the lesson with their children in a very family-friendly way. Like we listened to what they said. We kept those bullet points to a minimum. We also have Living Faith at Home page, which is the Visio and Lectio Divina, so they can pull it up on their phone and they can practice that at home. And then the Growing in Faith Together page is also on the app, so parents would have access through the app for that. So we're really excited about that. It's such a wonderful component that I think really speaks to where families are today. I'm going to just kind of go to the next slide here. Somebody keeps putting stuff in my Dropbox. I don't know whether that's showing up. I'm trying to move down to the next slide, but it seems to be frozen here. The next thing I wanted to show you was just the cover of our program. Here's the Living Our Faith at Home page, which is on the app. You can see we have a little article here for the parents, something really usable. This one is 5 ways to practice forgiveness in the family, and a prayer for them to use in the home. And this is a look at the Growing in Faith Together page. So it's kind of some discussion ideas, talking to your child about why you wanted them to be baptized. Okay. And then we've got the link here to the Sadlier Connect for more resources. So parents could also go into Sadlier Connect, find those Lives of the Saints, This Week in Liturgy, whatever. Here's a look at the cover of our ebook, the Program Director's Guide ebook, which is, as I said, over 200 pages. It's just phenomenal. It has a ton of resources for the director of the program. This includes catechist training sessions, everything you need to know or need for the training sessions, parent meetings. There's 2 parent meetings for each sacrament. There's retreats along with the handouts for the retreats, correlations. There's even certificates, beautifully designed certificates. A lot of background articles on things like Visio and Lectio Divina, liturgical catechesis, restored order. We have all sorts of materials there. Some of our handouts for parents are FAQs. One of the things I did want to point out is on the DVD, not only are there videos for the children for each of the chapters for each sacrament, but there are also 2 parent videos that are could be used during a parent meeting. That just a very, beautifully put together. Here is a look at our correlation in the Program Director's Guide with We Believe Catholic Identity. And it's just a look at the catechist orientation meetings. You kind of see how it's kind of laid out, so everything's there that you would need. And then different models of implementation. This is a very important part of the sacramental preparation because parishes have different ways that they do sacramental prep. So we wanted our program to be able to adapt to all those models, a classroom model, maybe an at-home model, an intergenerational model. We have all of that kind of laid out for you. To get started with the program, there is something that's called a Sacrament Implementation Kit, and this is what it includes. It includes the books, both the primary and intermediate editions for the books and the guides. There's those 2 little prayer books that I talked about earlier, my Mass book and my Reconciliation and Prayer book. Our Living at Faith at Home for Eucharist and Reconciliation. These are both those newsletters that I showed you earlier for the families. The DVD for the Eucharist and Reconciliation, a music CD, the link to the ebook, and then directions about the mobile app. So if you are interested in that, that's the best way to kind of get started with it. So let me just pause there, Judy, see if there's any questions, anything that you want to add.
Kathy, yes, I wanted to ask because I couldn't remember. Am I right that we do have models for different types of ways to use the program?
Yes, yes.
Do you know where they're found?
They're in the Program Director's Guide. Here it is here, Models of Implementation. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, okay, there, but I'm sorry, I phrased that incorrectly. Is there also, did we not do something also with various home models for We Believe Catholic Identity?
There are models for We Believe Catholic Identity, and I think they're online.
Are they? Okay. Then,
yes.
Jose, I will check that out and get the link to you because Diane asked me about that in one of the questions. So I'll make sure I get that information to you so you can send it to her, to Diane Butler. Okay?
All right.
All right. And that was the only question that we had. And also, I just mentioned this to you. Kathy had showed you the link to go to the different sites. One of the easiest way to get to us for different things, and I just share this with all of you, if you just do Sadlier.com, what comes up are two green, pardon the pun, blackboards. One will be academic, one will be religion. If you click on religion, it brings up what Kathy showed you where it showed the parish programs, and below that are the webinars, and there's a picture there for Visio Divina. Below it is a link to the webinars where if you're interested in attending, and I'm going to send the link to Jose, but if you're interested in attending the webinar about the app next week, you could register right through the site there.
Great.
But I think that's on all the questions. All right, that seems to be everything.
Well,
okay.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. And Judy, thanks for facilitating, letting me know my screen wasn't showing.
No, I got it. It all came back, so I'm thrilled to death.
Yeah, so, anything we can do to support all of you, we're happy to do that. So.
Exactly. And thank you all, those of you who are here, thank you so much. And this has been recorded. We will get it to Jose so it can be shared again. Thank you all, and God bless you. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We got a question. How many weeks or hours does this course cover for the sacramental?
Each of the books is 6 chapters. So I just did a webinar the other night for the Diocese of Honolulu, and we were talking about pacing models. And so if you were doing sacramental preparation, say for reconciliation and Eucharist in the same year, one pacing model that we suggested was the fall for reconciliation and maybe 2 chapters each month. If you were doing these chapters in the, at your chapels versus in the home, and then you could, you could weave that into your regular catechetical program, and then have the celebration of the sacrament late November or early Advent, and then start with Eucharist in this, in January, and do the same thing, 2 chapters a month. Or you might do it all after the first of the year. But that's kind of the way it is. It's 6 chapters in total, and each of the chapters, the length of each of those lessons is about the same as a We Believe lesson, about an hour. So. Okay,
so and then he followed up with this comment, I meant for the once per week CCD on Sundays.
Oh, how to pace that? We have 27 chapters in We Believe, and that includes the seasonal chapters. So
let me one question, Kathy. Mark, do you mean We Believe WBCI Catholic Identity or the Sacrament Program? If you just type a question to me. Let me just wait a minute and see.
Okay.
We believe. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's the We Believe. So that's what you were speaking about, I believe.
Yeah. So well, it would be 27 chapters over the period of a school year. Most parishes start in September and usually end, wouldn't you say, Judy? I think they usually end in early
That's what a
May.
parish should do. For them, if they're going to do it, if they have it on Sundays or something, yes. And you can email me any questions. Having done many of these, as Kathy knows, I'll gladly help too with honing it for you if you need some help with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay.
Okay. So we'll gladly help with whatever we can. Thank you all for your time, and it's been a long time, so we really appreciate it. And this has been recorded, and we'll get it to you as quickly as possible. Thank you again, and God bless you.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.